Hi everybody, it's Patty, and I hope you all can hear me okay. I'm going to just assume that you all can hear me and talk. I've had issues with these headphones before. So I'm doing a live Q&A tonight, and hi David. And I noticed that there were not any questions posted, and so with that said, hi Walden. I'm going to just address one of the questions that was written on a YouTube video that I have on my YouTube channel. And this is a video explaining my online human anatomy and physiology course. So the question is, explain about kidney filtration. And people get, I guess, a lot of comments that, of course, the kidneys filter, because if they don't, we'd be dead. And people claiming that their kidneys aren't filtering is just a bunch of hogwash. So, yes, it's true that the kidneys have to filter. They constantly filter. We actually filter about 180 liters of filtrate from our bodily fluids every single day. That's a lot. A lot of that gets reabsorbed back into the blood. So most of it doesn't end up in our urine. But the urine, that's what the product of kidney filtration is. The urine is mostly water. It's about 95% water, but that can vary anywhere between 93 and 97%. That's kind of an average water amount in the urine. And then the remainder of that, so the 5% on average that's left over, is going to be solutes and things that are being removed from our bodily fluids. And I say bodily fluids, you know, when I teach about the kidneys in my traditional human anatomy and physiology course, which, like I said, I currently have that available online for anybody interested. But when I teach it to traditional pre-healthcare students, I, of course, have to align with their thought. So the current theory is that the kidneys have one function, and that is to filter our blood. Well, they do other things as well, but it's all kind of related to filtering our blood. As Dr. Morse teaches, the kidneys filter the lymph. Dr. Morris, I think, also agrees that the kidneys filter the blood as well. So they're basically, the kidneys are basically filtering both sets of bodily fluids, the kitchen and the bathroom or the sewer system. Both of those bodily fluids are passing through the kidneys, and I've made videos. If you join my Human A&P for Detoxification Specialist Facebook group, which I'll post that group below this video. I think I have all of my videos there. Some of them are private because, you know, I do teach a traditional A&P course, so I like to kind of keep these other views that are not aligned with the traditional theory out there. I like to keep them on a private Facebook page. So yeah, the kidneys are filtering. They're constantly filtering our bodily fluids, both the blood and the lymph. And it's true, if we didn't remove these waste products and these solutes from these bodily fluids, we would not be in a very healthy state. So, you know, everything in our blood especially, everything is tightly controlled. So there's, you know, this set homeostatic range for every single solute that's passing in the blood plasma. So, you know, if you ever look at your blood work, for instance, like, you know, you get some blood work from your doctor's office, or you go to a phlebotomist and they draw your blood and then they send you the blood work. I would always request those files, request a copy of your blood work, because if you're a detoxification specialist, it's good to study those, because you may have clients that want to share with you what's going on with their health, and they may provide to you their blood work. I know a lot of my clients, usually when I'm getting their health questionnaire and their iris photos, they all also send me their doctor's notes or their blood work. And that way I can get a better picture of what's going on in their body. And, you know, the blood, like I said, everything in the blood plasma is in a tight homeostatic range. And so the kidneys play a role with keeping that range in that level that is meant for human health. So, you know, sodium levels have to be within a certain range, potassium levels, glucose levels, bicarbonate levels, the blood gases, PO2, PCO2, everything, even all of the hormones, you know. So if your doctor is concerned that you might have a hormone disorder like hypo or hyperthyroidism, the thyroid hormone is in a homeostatic range. And then the hormone coming from the pituitary gland that tells the thyroid gland to secrete thyroid hormone, which is called thyroid stimulating hormone, that hormone's in a homeostatic range. And so that's typically how doctors will diagnose you. If they see chronically that certain things are out of range, they might give you a diagnosis, and then they'll probably prescribe something or do something to try to get you back into that range. But there are, as we know, better ways to do that, just aligning with nature and getting yourself back into a healthy, natural lifestyle. You can bring your body back to homeostasis. But yes, we are removing things from our bodily fluids. So when Dr. Morse talks about you got to get your kidneys filtering, he's primarily focusing on the lymph. And so the lymph, in addition to the blood, both pass through the kidneys. And like I said, I have a video where I show the anatomy of the kidneys, and I show both the blood vessels and the lymphatic vessels passing through there. It's really hard to find images that show the lymphatic vessels within the kidneys. Lymphatic vessels are everywhere. They're not, you know, absent. They have to be present in all organs and tissues, because they play a role in fluid balance. They take excess things away from our tissues and our organs. And if the lymph wasn't there, all of our organs would swell up, because when the blood passes through those organs, we actually filter stuff out of the blood more so than we take back in. So more stuff, the kitchen is delivering things to our cells within every organ, like delivering nutrients, delivering oxygen, and then taking things away. Most of what it takes away is carbon dioxide, because that carbon dioxide has to pass to the lungs where we exhale the CO2. And there are some metabolic wastes that do pass into the blood. I mean, we can find things like creatinine and lactic acid and uric acid and urea. These pass through the blood as well. But the lymph, that fluid, is taking away what I like to call kind of the excess junk that accumulates in our tissues. And usually, if our body is clean, if we're eating a species appropriate diet, a high fruit diet, maybe some green leafy vegetables, but things in their natural state that have not been denatured by heat, that have not been altered, you know, you're getting it directly from the earth, and you're practicing natural hygiene, meaning that you're getting enough sun, enough sleep, you have good social interactions, your body just naturally knows what to do, and you return to this state of homeostasis. And I apologize, my puppies like to bark every now and then. But when we are in a state of ill health, when we're not abiding by those laws of nature, and let's say we take in foods that are inappropriate, or we live a stressful lifestyle, meaning that our cortisol levels are up, or our adrenaline and epinephrine levels are constantly elevated. And that can be, you know, associated with lots of coffee or just lots of stress. But these create altered chemistries within our blood and within all of our bodily fluids, and things start to accumulate. And that's where the lymphatic system really shines, because it's there to kind of, you know, mitigate those poor life choices that we may make every now and then. And it takes away those excesses. It will take away the accumulated glucose, for instance. So, you know, glucose is really sticky. It's a sugar. And if you're stressed, your cortisol levels go up. Cortisol targets the liver, and it tells the liver to break down our glycogen stores and also to perform other biochemical reactions which convert things into glucose. And that dumps a bunch of glucose into the blood. And then if you're also, in addition to that high stress lifestyle, you're consuming a lot of processed sugars like high fructose corn syrup and sodas, and they add sugar to everything these days. And so you're getting a lot of glucose and a lot of other simple sugars in your diet that are not in a healthy state. They're not packaged in a beautiful fruit. All of this sticky fruit, or all of this sticky sugar starts to kind of stick on the insides of your blood vessels. That's not good for the blood. But it can accumulate and stick elsewhere. And that crud needs to be removed. And that's where the lymphatic system comes in, and it kind of, takes it away. The beautiful thing about fruit, especially the astringent fruits like lemons and grapes and all of the citrus fruits, really, they can help break and dissolve that crud. And that makes it easier for the lymphatic system to take it away. So that's why Dr. Morse will typically recommend, a 40-day fruit fast. I mean, Dr. Morse did 6 months on nothing but oranges. And, I'm not recommending that to anybody, but it's out there, it can be done. And you can really cleanse and break up a lot of that congestion, and then your beautiful lymphatic system carries it away. And like all bodily fluids, it gets processed and it gets filtered out. So as many of you know, there is a different way compared to what Dr. Morse teaches about how the lymphatic system works. And I've been investigating that a little bit. I was doing it more so about 6 months ago, but I've been very busy and personally stressed by some things I won't go into. But I just finished grading my finals today, entered final grades. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to make this video. But I was investigating some of the research out there, the published research that is showing alternative views of how the lymphatic system works. And as we know, there's constantly new research being put forth about the lymphatic system, like the lymphatic system in the brain. And I need to turn this light off really quick because it's bothering my eyes. 1 second, I'll be right back. I'm back. Sorry about that. So, I lost viewers. But that's how the lymphatic system is meant to work. It's meant to remove stuff from our tissue spaces. And so where the issue is whether or not the lymph is dumped back into the blood. That's what I teach at a traditional college. Or is it filtered out directly by the kidneys? And that's what Dr. Morse is putting forth. And I'm trying to support Dr. Morse's theory with some cold, hard facts. We could do scientific research. We could try to investigate this on our own, but it is very challenging to do that. Tracers, which can be used to show the path of fluids within the body, those are really hard to introduce into the lymphatic vessels. And the lymph flows very slowly. It's under very low pressure. And a lot of our lymphatic vessels are working against gravity. So it's challenging to really see the process of lymph moving. But to address the question that was put forth on the YouTube video, lymph does pass through the kidneys, and as does blood. So that is maybe I'm going to see if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this or not, but shoot, I might have had to do this setting this up before. But I know there was an option of sharing screens on Facebook Live, and like I could share something, an image that I've pulled up on my computer with you all, and now I don't see that option. Oh well. I pulled up some images of the kidneys to kind of further explain kidney filtration. But are there any questions for me about anything? Before I move forward, I want to show you this beautiful gift I received in the mail. I don't know if the person that sent me this gift wants me to share their name, but I was incredibly grateful. I mean, there's a whole story. This is the Star of David medallion, and included with this was a sheet about the Star of David medallion, and so I was very honored to have received this, and I want to thank the person that gave it to me, and I plan on thanking them in a more personal way. But I wanted to add that to this video because it was a beautiful gift that I received, and it does help to shield us and protect us. And I think crystals and that from the earth from which we all spring forth from, I think that's the way to say it. Those crystals, those stones, these are so precious because they connect us to something. I'm wearing right now moldavite, and I don't know if this is pure moldavite. I ordered some pure moldavite online, but moldavite is also very protective, very cleansing. And moldavite, from what I understand, comes from Czechoslovakia after something from outer space hit an area in Czechoslovakia, and so it's from space. And so perhaps the moldavite has something to connect us with our with other beings. Who knows? Oh, David wrote a comment. Can you address free radicals? So free radicals are basically any chemical, or basically any chemical that doesn't have a balanced number of electrons. So electrons, they like to kind of exist in pairs, and free radicals tend to steal electrons from things. So they can be kind of disruptive with regards to how they affect other molecules in our body. So as more and more free radicals accumulate, free radicals are quite common, in normal metabolic activities, metabolic waste products and other things where, we expose to our body, we can introduce free radicals in that way. I'm not quite sure, David, how much more you want me to get into. Hi, Carlos from Brazil. I am Patty from the United States. But yeah, free radicals, they just have that unbalanced electron within their electron shells. And so things like antioxidants, so free radicals can be very oxidizing. They can, affect the number of electrons on other molecules. And antioxidants tend to combat free radicals, from what I understand. So that's kind of what I can get into on free radicals. I used to teach chemistry a long, long, long time ago. When I first started teaching in 2001, I primarily taught chemistry. My master's degree is in biochemistry. But because of my medical background, I've always preferred teaching about the human body. So for the past, I guess, when did I start teaching human A&P? I think I started teaching that in 2004, 2003. So I did chemistry for a few years, but kind of became more committed to human anatomy and physiology. So the free radical stuff, I have to always go back and kind of revisit some of my books and notes to kind of give you a more in-depth explanation of that, David, but hopefully that kind of makes sense. And, antioxidants, which counter these types of substances, they are healthy for us. And where do we get the best antioxidants? From fruits primarily, and vegetables. The fruit is the perfect package. It's the perfect package of not only nutrition, of, simple sugars, the monosaccharides, amino acids, even fats. We have some fat in fruit, but it also contains lots of phytonutrients, antioxidants, lots of things that are protective and astringent. So, and you're getting soluble fiber in fruit, so it's helping to kind of create easier bowel movements. And fruit is water rich. It's rich with naturally distilled water. So the root systems of the plant, as that root comes up, as the water comes up the root into the leaves, it's going to be filling in those little corpuscles that make the fruit so watery and juicy. And that's why the water-rich fruits are usually the best for cleansing. They're usually the best for detoxifying because they are astringent and they're helping to break down that lymphatic congestion, and then the lymph carries it away. So it's not accumulating in our tissue spaces, because that accumulation is what can trap things that are irritants. And these irritants, as they get stuck and they irritate the tissue, that creates inflammation. And that inflammation, if it's not addressed, if it doesn't go away, long-term inflammation creates tissue change, which a lot of the natural healers call induration. And with tissue change, you see loss of function. So maybe that organ stops producing something that it was producing. Usually initially, before you get to loss of function, you get hyperstimulation. So that organ or that gland might be overproducing something. But then it kind of wears out and then it stops producing. So loss of function could occur, or the organ could try to protect itself by rapid cell division or having its cells divide. And those when cells divide abnormally, they're really doing so in response to something that has accumulated outside of their cellular spaces, and that's what's triggering the mitotic activity. And we see that in cancers, the C word. Ooh, I said the C word. And so it's not like cancer pops out of nowhere. You've been doing things probably that aren't appropriate, and doing those things long term, and not listening to your body, not paying attention to those little subtle signs and symptoms that are telling you that you should do something different, that you should stop doing something maybe that's not good for you. If you continue to do those things, you're going to end up with some negative symptoms. And this is typically, again, when we end up going to the doctor and they diagnose us with something. And then to make matters worse, a lot of people go on medication and they alter their blood chemistry. They alter their physiology, really, with these pharmaceutical agents. A lot of these pharmaceutical agents, all they do is suppress symptoms. They take symptoms away. They take away the red flag telling you that you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing anymore. So that's what we really need to listen to. And, if you go on a, again, cleansing, healthy diet, you will kind of naturally get your body back to a state of health. It's not really that hard. It's actually quite easy to do that. I noticed Dr. Morse posted 2 videos today, so I'm sure a lot of people are watching his YouTube videos right now. I announced this live Q&A, and had I known Dr. Morse would have been posting some videos, I probably would have not scheduled this. But you guys can always come back to the and watch the video again. I will be posting this video in my Human A&P for Detoxification Specialists. So I tend to make these kind of videos where I talk a little bit more off the cuff and I get into some alternate views. I don't really make these public. So I prefer unlisting them and just posting them in specific areas so they're a little bit more controlled. But I will post them to all of my friends, all of my detoxification specialist friends that are already on board with Dr. Morse's teachings. And really, I want to make these videos more focused on learning about how the human body works. So I should have, my dad called me right before I made this video, and I was going to try to set up how to share my screen, but I didn't get a chance to do that. So I had some cool pictures to share with you about the kidneys. Any other questions that anybody might have? I'm currently doing a liver detox, a liver and gallbladder detox. I've mentioned before that I recently went through a very incredibly stressful couple of weeks, and I was developing some symptoms that, you know, when we have these little red flags that point to disharmony in the body, we should do something about it. And for me, that symptom was, well, first of all, the stress was interfering with my sleep. It was interfering with my digestion. Well, thank you, Carlos. But the stress was really interfering with a lot of my normal routine, and I wasn't eating as much as I should. I just didn't really feel like eating because I was constantly stressed. You know, my heart was racing at times, and I was feeling unbalanced, feeling really vulnerable. And, you know, it kind of took me back to a place where I was just 4 or 5 years ago, where I was in a vulnerable state after I fell rock climbing. And I won't even go there, but I kind of had a lot of those feelings pop up. I felt attacked. I felt threatened. And it was really upsetting because the person doing this to me was someone I really trusted and loved at one point. And it was heartbreaking, devastating, really. So having gone through all of that and having seen how it really disrupted my state of being, I took a lot of that pain in. And where did I feel it the most? In my liver. My liver really took on a lot of that stress. And I felt a heaviness in my liver. I felt congested. And the liver pain refers to your right shoulder. And so I was having a lot of right shoulder pain and stiffness as well. And so that happened for a few days in a row, and I knew that this was not good. So I decided to do a liver detox, which I'm currently on. What day? I started Sunday or Monday, and today's Wednesday. I plan on ending it tomorrow. And you know, there's, you know, the olive oil and the that you cut with like a citrus fruit, like grapefruit or orange juice. And so I've been eating primarily fruit. I've had a couple of salads, but keeping it very low fat. And then when you flush the liver, you when you take in that first kind of bit of olive oil, and there are other things you can take too. Dr. Moore sells something. What is it called? You know, maybe I'll look it up really quick. I can't share my screen, unfortunately, but I can at least tell you what this product is that Dr. Morse recommends. And let's see, the liver flush. So Dr. Morse's liver flush, he recommends 8 ounces of pure cold pressed extra virgin olive oil, some freshly squeezed pink grapefruit juice or the juice of 2 lemons, apple juice, and then Food liquid, which is an optional ingredient, but Food liquid is really helpful because, and I think Dr. Morse does sell it, but you can get it from Standard Process. But it's also helpful to kind of get those stones, and to get also the ducts to kind of open up a little bit. And anyway, where is my Facebook Live? I think I've lost it. There you are. the important thing to do is, the apples are great because they're rich in malic acid, and malic acid really helps to soften the stones, and that helps them more easily remove themselves from the ducts. And even in people that have had their gallbladders removed, these stones can reaccumulate within the ducts, within the liver itself. So the liver has lots of different ducts because the hepatocytes in the liver, they produce bile, and bile contains, bilirubin, and bilirubin is a bile pigment. It contains bile salts, which help to emulsify fats, but it also contains cholesterol and other lipids. And being that a lot of blood passes through the liver, so the liver receives blood from two major blood vessels, both the hepatic artery and the hepatic portal vein. And the hepatic portal vein is bringing this blood from all of the digestive organs, including the small intestine. And so all of that nutrient-rich blood passes to the liver, and the liver helps to modify the nutrients that were absorbed into the blood. So if there was too much glucose, we can store the excess as glycogen. It can, convert one amino acid to another amino acid. So lots of things are coming to the liver from what we absorb in our diet. But are we always absorbing the healthiest things? And anything else that we kind of break down, like in our spleen sends its blood to the liver. So the liver has to process all of that. And if anything in that is acidic or toxic, the cholesterol and the bile pigments can start to kind of buffer around those toxic substances. And that's really what creates the gallstone itself. It's just kind of trying to tuck away things that can't be handled currently. And so if your liver is overstressed, it's probably going to tuck a lot of those toxins away as the gallstones. Those, if you've ever done a liver flush, they're kind of little soft green or yellowish stones. And the flush is meant to get those out, because when they're in there, when they're accumulated, they can cause a backup. And when you're stressed, like I was for a good 3 or 4 days, I was really stressed. I had more stress during that time period almost than I can think of any other time period. And when you're stressed, your blood circulation changes. So your blood, when you're normally in a parasympathetic state, most of your blood is traveling to your abdominal area, to your digestive organs. And, the parasympathetic branch of our autonomic nervous system is called rest and digest. So it's really helping to enhance digestion, enhance liver function, enhance everything that's associated with the digestive system. When you're in a sympathetic response, which is more associated with stress, blood flow goes away from the core. Most of your blood is being redirected to your heart and to the muscles in your arms and legs. Less blood flow to the abdominal organs, including the kidneys. So the kidneys actually get less blood in a sympathetic response. And so my liver probably was feeling a little bit of a backup because it wasn't getting the nutrition it needed. And a lot of the stress hormones, those get directed to the blood eventually. It's not like no blood travels to the liver when we're stressed. It does get some, but it's processing all of those stress hormones that had accumulated in my body. And there was just a backup, and I felt it. I felt it in my right shoulder. I felt it in my right upper quadrant. And so I've been doing this liver flush for 4 or 5 days now, and I'm going to finish it tomorrow night. And basically that last night of the liver flush, that's when you are doing the olive oil with citrus. You cut it with citrus so it goes down a little bit easier. And you take that down, and you do that kind of before you go to bed. And there's lots of different liver flushes you can follow. Dr. Morse has his. I know that there are like Hulda Clark, and there's others out there too. I still have residual pain in my right shoulder, by the way. But they all recommend, like right after you drink that olive oil concoction, that you go to bed. I think you're laying on your right side or left side? I have to reread it. And you might feel, you want to lay on your side, and you might feel, that fat as it comes into your small intestine, it creates this kind of reflex to the gallbladder, and it causes contraction of the gallbladder, and it also relaxes the sphincter that allows the bile to be released into the small intestine. So that's why you want the fat, because on the days leading up to the release of the bile and the stones, you had been consuming a very low fat diet, like mostly fruit, and then you introduce this concentrated amount of fat, and it causes this reaction that helps to get all of that bile and all of those gallbladder stones and all of those hepatic stones out into your small intestine. And you want to make sure your intestinal tract is nice and clear. So, one thing that's good if you're doing Dr. Morse's protocol is to make sure you're doing like a stomach and bowels formula. That's really important. A lot of times I tell my own clients that want to do a liver cleanse to be on the liver and gallbladder herbal formula for a good month. And then on that last week of that month, that's when you kind of build up to the actual detox itself. And I have done a liver gallbladder cleanse. It's been many years since I've actually done it, but I remember the last time I did it, I did release a lot of those stones. And they're not really stones. They're kind of soft. They're, and I'm noticing lots of comments are coming up. So Garrett writes, liver flushes are amazing. As you know, you're going to feel amazing. I hope so. That's my goal. I want to feel a lot better than I have been. Can you explain exactly step by step how the liver flushes for those that don't know? From mouth to anus, the exact flow of the oil and how it purges out the stones. Oh, yes, Andreas Maurice. That's another great authority on the liver and gallbladder. I have his book, and his book is wonderful, and he knows a lot about liver cleansing. But yeah, the oil. So on the days leading up to the actual flushing, you had been consuming, I would say at least for 5 days, you want to be consuming a high fruit, low fat diet. So you have very little fat in your diet during this time. And then when you consume the oil comes in, and oil is hydrophobic, so it kind of coalesces, and it goes down your esophagus, into your stomach, and then into your small intestine. And when it reaches the first segment of your small intestine, which is called the duodenum, or the duodenum, however you want to pronounce it, that oil is going to be stimulating the release of bile from the gallbladder. And for those of you that don't have a gallbladder, it can still stimulate bile release by relaxing the sphincter that is going to relax and allow the bile to flow into the small intestine. So there is a way that the cells in the duodenum can sense that fat has entered into the lumen of the duodenum. So when fat gets in there, it triggers those cells to release a hormone into the blood called cholecystokinin, CCK, cholecystokinin. And cholecystokinin enters the blood. It's a hormone. It travels up back to the liver and gallbladder. It stimulates the smooth muscle in the wall of the gallbladder to contract, and that pushes whatever in the gallbladder to come out, and that's the bile. But it also is going to affect the release of the contents of the hepatic ducts, within the liver itself. And it causes the relaxation of the hepatopancreatic sphincter. And when that sphincter relaxes, again, the bile comes out into the small intestine. And then that's going to carry with it all of those stones that had been backed up. So it's a great way to kind of decongest the liver, since the liver does so many important things for the body. I mean, there are so many biochemical reactions that take place. I know when I teach for my human anatomy and physiology students, I think I only require my students to know like the top 20 functions of the liver. We go through the top 20, but it does so much more than that. But, we have so much to cover in my human A&P course that I can't, I could spend a whole semester on the liver. I really could. because it's such an amazing organ. And it's paramount to having healthy levels of things in our blood, and it is kind of considered an organ of elimination because it does release bile into the small intestine, which eventually becomes the large intestine and eventually empties contents into the toilet. So yeah, right side, thank you, Garrett, and knees tucked up to your chest. Yeah, so after you drink the oil concoction, you lay on your right side and you hold your knees up. And that will, I guess, help to get the, well, I don't know why it's on the right side, but I'm sure Andreas Moritz has a logical reason, but that's typically what they recommend, that they lay on the right side. So any other questions for me? Well, it's a little after 8, and I usually go to bed at 8. I'm kind of a homebody these days. But that's the time I know when it starts getting dark outside, I like to kind of wind down for the night. I don't like to watch things on the, oh, it's for putting pressure. Thank you, Garrett. So you lay on the right side, you tuck your knees up, and you put pressure on the liver. So thank you. But yeah, I like to kind of wind down as the light outside, as the sun goes down. I don't like all of this artificial light coming from my computer screen or my cell phone. And I do have blue blocking glasses, but I don't have them with me right now. I kind of look like a 70s person. I don't know, like those tinted glasses were popular in the 70s. I don't think they were blue blocking. So I have another crystal. I don't know what kind of crystal this is, but I bought this a while ago. And then I got this little stone. So I'm kind of getting more into crystals, and it's just so interesting because I was thinking a lot about crystals, and I ordered a real authentic Moldavite crystal from, who did I order it from? I can probably tell you really quick because I've been watching his YouTube videos like crazy. Mark Bareski. He sells crystals. I don't know what country he's in, but he's really into Moldavite. And when I was going through my stress, I was really feeling like I need some sort of cleansing, some spiritual cleansing, because I was very, how do I say it? Scared. Because I really trusted the person that had put me into this state of stress. I mean, I trusted him with my life. I really thought he loved me and he would never do something like this to me. But he did. And it started making me question, like, how can I trust anyone else? How will I ever be able to, because if I thought this person could never hurt me, how is it that I could think someone else couldn't do the same thing? And I know these are not the best, healthiest thoughts, but it really made me not want to socialize with anybody. I mean, I have a few friends that I talk to, a good friend at work that has been really supportive of me. She and I have spent some time talking about this. But, really, I just kind of been wanting to come home, be with my dogs and my cats, and just like not let anybody in. But that's not a healthy way to live, obviously. I think as humans, we are meant to connect to others. We're meant to enrich ourselves via relationships. Relationships are the best teachers, and they bring forth from our spirit, from our soul, lessons that we benefit from. And so if you hide away from these relationships, you hide away from all of those lessons. And, we're here on this planet because we need lessons, right? We need to learn from our experiences. And so I realized that there's a healthier way to deal with all of this. There's a healthier way for me to look at this. And I started feeling attracted to the crystals. And my good Facebook friend, Lynn Caldwell, sent me a Mark Byareski YouTube video. It was for a totally different reason, but I think it was for cleansing negative energy. And then he kept talking about all of these crystals, and maybe I'll put his YouTube channel below this link as well, because listening to him, he's so upbeat. And I just wonder, like, is it the crystals that bring this energy within him to just have all of this positivity that he shares? But he had one video on forgiveness, and I've been really working on that, how to forgive the people that have hurt me and have hurt my animals. And I do want to forgive them, because I know that the pain that caused them to behave in the way that they did is a fracture in their life. It's something probably horrific that happened to them. And, everybody has their own personal story that, of things that happen to them that create the person that they become. And maybe they're blind to it. Maybe they're blind to that deep-seated pain, and they haven't taken the time to deal with it. But if I just keep throwing negative energy in their direction and attacking them and just hating them, who is that helping in the long run? I think it's healthy to remove certain individuals from your life. So you do need space, I think, to heal. And I'm taking that space. So I don't talk to any of the people that have hurt me, most recently and even in the past. But I don't want to spend all of my time hating them. I want to spend my time sending them healing energy, sending them a love maybe that they've never received. And maybe I wasn't good at loving them. Maybe part of this is my karma. So you never know the big picture. We never know the big picture. But I do know that love is a better vibration, and it's a higher vibration. And if I can put forth more love out into the world, it will come back to me. So that's my goal. And I want to thank you all for being here with me tonight. And again, I want to thank the very special person that sent me the Star of David medallion. It's very beautiful. And I cherish these beautiful gifts because I know they come from the heart. And I cherish all of you too. So thank you for being here with me this evening. I need to get some sleep. We had a terrible storm here last night, and my puppies were scared, and I didn't sleep well. And I had to do some puppy therapy for them. So I need to get some sleep tonight. But thank you all, and I should have another live Q&A this weekend. I'm off. I'm done with teaching for a couple of weeks now, so I have a little bit of time, but I still have a lot of work to do. So I'll try to fit these Q&As in. So I'll announce the next one, and hopefully we'll get more viewers next time. Bye. Have a good evening.